problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But
that
down.
dude hits hard.
Robert. Oh, sorry, when you done.
Yeah, so them ones with the A, Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
We send it.
Nobody had this on their bingo card. Not boxing fans. Not MMA heads. And definitely not Joe Rogan listeners scrolling for their usual conspiracy and elbows combo. Because the moment word leaked that Anthony Joshua was sparring Oleksander Usyk while gearing up for a Jake Paul fight. The internet did a double take so hard it almost pulled a hamstring. This wasn't a casual gym story. This wasn't friendly rounds between old rivals. This was heavyweight royalty quietly crossing wires with YouTube boxing chaos. And then Joe Rogan stepped into the conversation like someone just handed him classified footage. Suddenly, his timelines were buzzing. Was this genius preparation or absolute madness? Was Joshua sharpening his sword or swinging it at the wrong dragon? And why did this feel less like boxing news and more like a Netflix crossover nobody warned us about? Rogan's reaction didn't calm anything down. It poured gasoline on it. His tone, his disbelief, his half-laughing wait a minute energy made fans feel like they'd just overheard a conversation they weren't supposed to hear. This wasn't about sparring anymore. This was about legacy, ego, risk, and the uncomfortable idea that Jake Paul might have accidentally forced the entire combat sports world into the weirdest timeline possible. Because once Rogan spoke on it, there was no turning back. The moment this story leaked, boxing timelines didn't just react. They malfunctioned. Because Anthony Joshua sparring Oleksander Usyk while preparing for a Jake Paul fight sounds like something created by an AI trained exclusively on chaos. It didn't feel real. It felt like someone mashed 3 different eras of combat sports into one headline and pressed publish. Anthony Joshua and Oleksander Usyk aren't casual names you throw around lightly. These are heavyweight chess masters with history, bruises, and unfinished mental business attached. They don't accidentally end up in the same gym. They don't casually exchange rounds like old coworkers catching up. When they share space, it means something. That's why the reaction hits so hard. Because Joshua isn't prepping for a legacy-defining title fight. He's reportedly gearing up for Jake Paul. Yes, that Jake Paul, the internet disruptor who turned boxing into a YouTube algorithm experiment and somehow dragged the entire sport. Along with him, and then Joe Rogan entered the chat. Rogan's reaction didn't come with outrage or applause. It came with disbelief wrapped in curiosity. That familiar tone where he sounds like someone just showed him footage he wasn't cleared to see. The kind of reaction that makes listeners lean in because they know something odd is unfolding. He didn't dismiss it. He didn't hype it blindly. He questioned it. Why spar Usyk? Why now? Why mix elite heavyweight science with influencer boxing spectacle? Those questions alone made fans uncomfortable. Because uncomfortable questions usually mean uncomfortable truths. Joshua's camp has always been strategic, almost surgical. Every move is calculated. Every decision is debated endlessly. Which is why this twist felt so strange. Sparring Usyk isn't sharpening basics. That's inviting complexity. That's revisiting a puzzle that already beat you twice. And that's where the tension started to grow. Because if Joshua is truly preparing for Jake Paul, the logic feels backward. Jake Paul isn't Usyk, not stylistically, not mentally, not technically. Training with Usyk is like studying quantum physics to prepare for a pop quiz. Impressive, but unnecessary. Unless the goal isn't preparation, unless the goal is something else, fans immediately split into camps. One side called it genius. They argued Joshua was over-preparing. leveling up so hard that Jake Paul wouldn't even recognize the version of AJ stepping into the ring. Overkill as a statement. Preparation as intimidation. The other side called it reckless. They said Joshua was reopening old wounds, mentally and physically. Sparring Usyk isn't just technical. It's psychological. Every feint comes with memory. Every exchange carries history. And history doesn't always make you stronger. Joe Rogan leaned into that discomfort. He pointed out the weirdness of the matchup without pretending it made perfect sense. His tone suggested fascination mixed with concern. Because when elite fighters make unconventional choices, it's rarely accidental. Rogan's commentary reframed the situation. This wasn't just Joshua training. This was Joshua redefining the narrative around the Jake Paul fight. Instead of looking like a traditional boxer stepping into influence or chaos, he suddenly looked like a heavyweight preparing for war. And that shift mattered. The internet noticed, memes exploded. People joked that Jake Paul accidentally forced Anthony Joshua back into championship-level preparation. Others joked that Usyk was acting like the final boss trainer in a video game. Nobody expected to unlock. But beneath the humor sat tension, because sparring is never just sparring at that level. It's data collection. It's testing instincts. It's measuring sharpness. And if Joshua is sharp enough to hang with Usyk again, even in controlled rounds, it sends a message far beyond Jake Paul. It says, Joshua isn't treating this as a joke. That alone rattled people. Critics of the Jake Paul fight have long argued it cheapens Joshua's legacy. That stepping into that circus risks turning a serious career into a meme. But this move complicated that argument. Sparring Usyk doesn't look like someone phoning it in. It looks like someone overcorrecting. Rogan hinted at that too. That strange space where preparation becomes almost symbolic. Where a fighter isn't just training for the opponent in front of them, but for how they want to be perceived afterward. Because if Joshua destroys Jake Paul after sparring Usyk, the narrative flips. The fight stops being a joke and starts looking like a statement. Preparation becomes proof. Overkill becomes justification. But there's another side to that coin. If anything goes wrong, Joshua looks stiff or unfocused, critics will immediately point to this choice. They'll say he trained for the wrong fight, that he fought ghosts instead of the man in front of him. And that's where the risk lives. Joe Rogan didn't say this outright, but the implication hung heavy. This is a gamble. A strange one. A fascinating one, but a gamble nonetheless, because the combat sports world doesn't operate on logic alone. It operates on optics. And the optics of Joshua sparring Usyk while chasing a Jake Paul. Payday are wild enough to make purists uncomfortable and casual fans obsessed. This wasn't supposed to happen. That's why it's captivating. Joshua didn't just step into a gym. He stepped into a narrative collision. One where elite boxing credibility meets influencer spectacle. And Joe Rogan stands in the middle saying what everyone else is thinking. This is either brilliant or completely unhinged. And the reactions were only just beginning. Once Joe Rogan's reaction clips started circulating, the story stopped being boxing news and turned into full-blown internet theater. Because when Rogan raises an eyebrow, the culture listens. And this time, his tone wasn't hype. It was that dangerous mix of curiosity and disbelief that makes people feel like something isn't adding up. Fans clipped his comments like they were decoding a prophecy. Every pause, every laugh, every "that's interesting" got treated like it meant more than it probably did. But that's the Rogan effect. He doesn't just react. He reframes the conversation without trying. Suddenly, this wasn't about Joshua sparring Usyk anymore. It was about why that information even leaked. People started asking who wanted this out there and what message it was supposed to send. Because elite camps don't accidentally let stories like this escape. Memes did what memes always do. Jake Paul photoshopped into heavyweight gyms. Usyk labeled as the training arc boss. Anthony Joshua depicted as the main character leveling up before a boss fight that nobody respects, but everyone's watching. It was funny, but it was pointed. Boxing purists were furious. They called the entire situation embarrassing. Not the sparring, but the context. They hated that Joshua's name was even connected to Jake Paul. To them, this was like watching a classical pianist prepare for a TikTok talent show. But casual fans loved it. They said this was exactly why boxing needs chaos. That the sport has been too stiff, too slow, too protective of its legends. Jake Paul, for better or worse, forced movement. And now even Anthony Joshua was adjusting his orbit. Celebrity reactions started sliding in without directly naming names. Fighters tweeted vague thoughts about preparation and respect. MMA figures chimed in about how cross-world pressure changes athletes. Everyone wanted in on the conversation without owning a side. Rogan's influence kept amplifying the confusion. He didn't mock Joshua. He didn't praise him either. He kept circling the idea that this was strange, but maybe smart. That tension made the discourse explode even more. People argued whether Usyk was helping or hurting Joshua. Some said sparring Usyk sharpened everything: footwork, timing, awareness. Others said it reopened psychological scars that never fully healed. Losing twice leaves residue no amount of sparring can erase. Jake Paul's name hovered over all of it like a neon sign. Every serious conversation eventually slammed into the same wall. All this preparation for him. That disconnect fueled outrage and fascination at the same time. Paul's fans spun it as validation. They said if Anthony Joshua needed Oleksander Usyk to prepare, then Jake Paul had officially broken boxing. Critics fired back, saying it proved Joshua was taking the fight seriously out of respect, not fear. The internet didn't settle on a truth. It picked entertainment instead. It picked entertainment instead. Joe Rogan's listeners dissected the implications deeper. They talked about ego, about pride, about a champion refusing to look casual in a fight that everyone expects him to win. Rogan hinted that elite fighters hate being embarrassed more than they love being celebrated. That idea stuck because nothing would damage Joshua more than looking sloppy against Jake Paul. A win wouldn't save him if it looked awkward. That fear alone could explain the Usyk rounds. Preparation as insurance against humiliation. The outrage peaked when people started asking the forbidden question. What if this fight is closer than anyone admits? Not technically, not on paper, but psychologically. The pressure of expectation is heavier than punches. Usyk represents discipline, patience, and pain. Sparring him might be Joshua's way of grounding himself, of reminding himself what real danger feels like before stepping into a circus that could still end badly. Rogan never said it directly, but his reaction carried that implication. This isn't arrogance. This is caution dressed up as overkill. As debates raged, one thing became clear. Nobody was bored. Boxing hadn't felt this electric over a training rumor in years. Joshua wasn't trending for belts or rankings. He was trending for unpredictability. And unpredictability is dangerous, because when a fighter changes the script, expectations wobble, narratives crack. And the moment expectations crack, chaos follows by the end of the day. The question wasn't whether Joshua's sparring Usyk made sense. The question was, what happens next? Because once Joe Rogan shines a light on something weird, the story never shrinks. It's mutates. After the initial explosion of reactions, the ripple effects didn't stop. Joshua's decision to spar Usyk while prepping for Jake Paul had officially reshaped the conversation around the fight. This wasn't just a training update. It was a statement, a warning, and the internet noticed immediately. Fans dissected every detail. Some applauded the strategy, saying Joshua wasn't just preparing physically, he was sending a psychological message. That message was clear: underestimate me and you'll pay. Others argued it made him look paranoid, overcompensating for a fight that should be routine. Either way, opinions were electric. Joe Rogan's commentary continued to dominate. Clips of his reactions circulated for days, each snippet dissected, debated, and memed. Rogan didn't just comment, he set the narrative. His mix of disbelief and analytical curiosity made fans question every training choice Joshua made. Every round with Usyk suddenly had meaning beyond conditioning, it had implication. Celebrity reactions escalated. Fighters, commentators, and influencers weighed in. Some praised the choice, comparing Joshua's preparation to a master strategist leveling up in a video game. Others mocked it, likening it to a classical musician practicing for a TikTok dance challenge. The juxtaposition fueled endless debate and made the story impossible to scroll past. Meme culture turned the situation into chaos gold. Jake Paul became the unwitting villain in a heavyweight saga. Joshua, the main character, and Usyk, the mysterious boss nobody could predict. Pop culture references flew fast: Shrek battles, superhero power-ups, video game final bosses. The absurdity amplified interest and kept the story alive in every corner of social media. Beyond jokes and speculation, reputations were at stake. Critics argued Joshua risked credibility. Purists questioned the choice to mix elite sparring with a YouTube fight. Supporters countered that it was genius, a preemptive strike to protect legacy. Either way, perceptions shifted in real time. For Jake Paul, the optics were intense. He became the reason for a narrative that involved two elite heavyweights quietly recalibrating their careers. Fans debated whether Paul's presence had forced Joshua to over-prepare, or whether this was simply another chapter in the sport's evolving spectacle. His notoriety continued to grow, fueled by the drama he indirectly caused. Joshua's legacy hung in balance. The sparring sessions signaled seriousness and discipline, but also risk. A misstep in public perception could overshadow his entire career. Fans and pundits were quick to analyze body language, footwork, and tone, scrutinizing everything from his reaction to the sparring environment. Joe Rogan's framing amplified the stakes. His perspective suggested that preparation is never just physical. It's psychological, narrative-driven, and symbolic. Fans quickly adopted that lens, adding layers of meaning to every training snippet and leaked story. The aftermath was clear. Joshua wasn't just fighting Paul in the ring, he was navigating a narrative outside it. Public perception, legacy, memes, celebrity commentary, and Rogan's influence all intertwined. Every punch, feint, and strategy choice became part of a larger story. By the time the dust settled, fans understood this wasn't a routine news cycle. It was a saga, a cultural event wrapped in sport. Every reaction, every clip, every online debate had cemented itself as part of the larger narrative. And the story wasn't over. Expectations had shifted. Pressure had amplified. The fight became about more than skill, it became about narrative dominance. And in combat sports, perception can be as lethal as a punch. Anthony Joshua sparring. Usyk didn't just prepare him for Jake Paul, it prepared the entire internet to reevaluate every angle, question every outcome, and wait breathlessly for the next twist in a story that refuses to quiet down. The spectacle had officially transcended the sport. This moment proved one thing: when history, hype, and internet culture collide, nothing leaves the same way it entered. Legacy, perception, and curiosity now move forward together. And the world is watching. Now don't act like this didn't grab your attention. If you leaned in, paused, or rewound even a little, That's because this story isn't just boxing news, it's a narrative collision nobody saw coming. Anthony Joshua, Oleksander Usyk, Jake Paul, and Joe Rogan all in one chaotic orbit. The internet can't resist it, and neither should you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Say it all. Do you think Joshua's sparring with Usyk was pure genius, overkill, or a sign of nervous energy? Are fans overreacting? Or is the entire combat world about to get flipped upside down by this fight? Your hot takes, wild theories, and honest opinions belong right here. Smash that like button like it owes you money. Hit it hard. Hit it fast. Every click tells the algorithm you're hungry for the chaos, the breakdowns, and the drama. Nobody else dares to analyze this thoroughly. If you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. This channel doesn't just cover the news, we dissect, exaggerate, and bring the wildest stories to life. Hit notifications so you never miss the next explosive update, the viral clip, or the next unexpected twist in a fight that already has everyone talking. Because stories like this don't end when a clip stops trending. They evolve, they mutate, and the next bombshell could drop any second. Stay ready. Stay obsessed. Stay in the know. This is Punch Press.